We got our first lesson down. Yo, you all are doing great. Keep up the good work. I know this one was pretty hefty. Make sure you're practicing multiple choice questions and sims as we're going through. Let's wrap up what we saw. We want to understand and be able to explain the role of all of these different entities, authorities, state boards, everything like that. What can the IRS do? What can the AICPA do? Make sure you're familiar with that. We also want to recall who is a tax return preparer. Hint, hint, all you need is a PTIN and good sense of mind, right? You can't be incompetent there. And talk about situations in which there will be penalties for these preparers. Very sad. Sometimes we do have penalties. We also want to recall situations that would result in taxpayer penalties. That's going to be throughout. We got a few lessons, and some of them are going to cover those points. Tax preparer, taxpayer penalties. Unfortunately, we do have penalties in life. If I made the rules, and I know you wish I could, there'd be no penalties, right? We'd have a nice, perfect utopia. We also want to be able to calculate taxpayer penalties relating to federal returns, right? Make sure you understand the situations as well as the calculations themselves. Memorize those numbers, memorize what those penalties actually are. We also want to be able to apply potential federal tax return preparer penalties in a given scenario, dealing with the regulations and governing and going before the IRS. That's going to be something we want to see. Be familiar with those situations and scenarios. And lastly, just again, this was a nice broad overview. I mean, there were specifics in this lesson, of course, but this was a nice, great overview of everything that's to come, a nice foundation. Make sure you're familiar with the tax changes that happen. If you're someone who has been in the tax world before a lot of those changes happen, that's why I talk about them, because you've got a lot of these ideas and they were true, but tax law does change, right? So we want to make sure you understand kind of the mentality and the reasoning and the rationale as to why these changes were made. You may not agree with them. For sure don't agree with most things in the tax code. No, that's not true. Maybe some things. But you want to understand that so you can kind of just apply that on questions. What was the IRS going for when they made this rule? That is something I love to think of when I go through reg questions was this rule here to benefit a certain group, such as a credit, or is this a limit to prevent a high net worth individual from benefiting from this item? There's a lot of ways and instances that can really help you on the exam. I'll quit talking enough. I know you've had a lot of this today. Keep going. You got this. Keep up the high energy, motivation, and discipline, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey there! Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material? We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.